Hello everyone and welcome to Tanchaz Talk, the world's only English language program focusing primarily on Hungarian folk music. I am Kalman Magyar Öcsi, speaking from Toronto, Canada as usual. Episodes of Tanchaz Talk, which combine a mix of music and stories delivered by yours truly, are available as always on tanchaz.com, that's Tanchaz.com, or on YouTube. Just search Tanchaz Talk and subscribe so you don't miss anything. Today we have an episode of Tanchaz Talk Interviews. This is where I delve into long-form interviews with a wide array of guests. Episodes of Tanchaz Talk Interviews are available on all popular podcast platforms, including Google, Apple, Spotify, podcast stores, and the rest of them. Make sure you subscribe and leave a nice review if you like what you hear. Today, I'm very excited to have on the program Zsigmond Vucic. We call him Zsigi for short. That's what I'm going to be calling him during this interview. Let me talk about the very interesting character known as Zsigi. Zsigi was born in Bern, B-E-R-N, in Switzerland. That's the capital of Switzerland, by the way. You thought it was Zurich or Geneva, but it's not. You learn something on Tanchaz Talk all the time. Bern is the Switzerland capital, Swiss capital. He was born in the great year of 1975. Zsigi's parents are both Hungarian. Zsigi's father is none other than Gyula Vucic, who founded the Figurás dance ensemble in Bern in the early 1980s. Gyula, that's Zsigi's dad, is of course a fabulous dancer himself and a great supporter of Hungarian folklore, an organizer of touring artists in Switzerland for many years. Zsigi himself danced in that Figurás dance ensemble in Bern as a teenager and started playing music as well as a bass player. He was a founding member of Bern's Nango band, N-A-N-G-O, and he danced and played throughout Western Europe as well as Hungary with that band, which I believe is still in existence today. We'll talk a little bit about that. Zsigi perfected his folk dance and music skills during summer camps in Hungary and Transylvania, and also traveled extensively throughout Transylvania on various folk music collection and research projects, including with Puma, Busai Norbi, Funda Kristóf, and the members of Üstürű and Heveder bands. In 1996, Zsigi established a close relationship with the Szaszcsavas band, and it was in the ensuing few years that the legendary New Year's camps were organized in beautiful snowy Switzerland, which featured Üstürű and the Szaszcsavas bands. These were some epic parties, although I did not attend these myself. I've seen lots of videos of them, and that camp was in existence in the late 90s up to 2000. On the side, we can say, aside from all these exploits and wonderful projects, Zsigi studied business at the University of Economics in Bern and graduated in 2003. And that's the year when he left Switzerland and moved to Budapest in 2003. There he had a marketing internship at Zvak, the makers of Unicum, and then he worked as a warehouse and logistics project lead for Lidl, L-I-D-L. That's the fabulous German supermarket chain. Now, as I go through the rest of Zsigi's biography, keep in mind three crucial things about him. First of all, he speaks 5 languages: German, Hungarian, English, decent French, and some Romanian. Second, he is very well educated and highly accomplished in the business world, and we'll talk a bit about that as well with him. And third, he is deeply passionate and remains deeply passionate about Hungarian folk music and dancing, and is a real master at collecting, organizing, and then disseminating Hungarian folk music to the greater world. So with those kind of underlying qualifications established, let's go back to 2005. After Zsigi's gig with Lidl supermarket chain in Budapest ended, he began working as a regional manager for Hungary for the company called Saubermacher, an Austrian conglomerate which is one of the world's leading sustainable waste disposal companies. In 2007, Zsigi became the company's regional manager for Romania and relocated to Nagyszeben in Transylvania. That's a city called Sibiu in Romanian, Nagyszeben. 2 years later, Zsigi moved to Székelykeresztúr, but kept working for Saubermacher, and one of his primary tasks was managing the account for the company's relationship with Mercedes Hungary. During those years, Zsigi became good friends with the Heveder band. He helped produce Heveder's first ever CD, and he organized a tour for Heveder in Switzerland, Belgium, and Germany, participating in that tour as a dancer. And I think you're back, Zsigi. So he in 2011, Zsigi relocated to Budapest for a few years, but then moved to Gyimes Középlok in 2013. That's right. That's in the Gyimes Valley, and that's where he lives. Zsigi, are you still here with me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm just reading your bio, and I know I lost your connection, but you're back. So I'm almost there. So let me just put you on mute for a few more minutes here. So in 2013, Zsigi moved to Gyimes Középlok, and that's around the time he left Saubermacher and began working as a business development and mill manager for HS Timber Productions in Réty, R-E-T-Y, which is pretty close to Gyimes. That's where he oversees HS Timber's very large sawmill and cogeneration plant, whatever that means. We'll find out in the interview. In 2016, Zsigi produced the great collaborative CD with Üstürű and Heveder known as Csavas Iram, featuring the music of Szaszcsavas. I've played some clips from that CD in past episodes. I think that's one of the greatest CDs to come out in the last several years, and we'll talk about Csavas Iram. Today, Zsigi splits time between Gyimes Középlok, which is his primary residence, Sepsiszentgyörgy, which is close to his workplace, in Budapest, and he also visits Zurich, Switzerland often. He is married to the beautiful Etelka Vitos, the fabulous violinist Etelka, who played with the Zerkula band with great success for many years, including in Montreal. That was a great February camp that they were there several years ago. Etelka herself is a successful veterinarian in Gyimes, and Zsigi and Etelka have a young son as well, Mátyás, who is 2 years old. Zsigi, last but not least, is the creator of the YouTube channel with the username SvejciFarkas. I'll spell that for you. It's very important. If you're listening to this, make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel. That's spelled SvejciFarkas, SvejciFarkas, which has over 4,000 subscribers and a few hundred videos with over 5 million views in total. It's probably one of the most popular YouTube channels devoted to Hungarian folk music and dance. Yes, even more popular than Tanchaz Talk. That one, actually, Zsigi's YouTube channel might be the best repository of collections featuring the music of Szaszcsavas, but there's also much more on there. It's very high quality and highly selective clips that he puts there. I strongly recommend you checking it out. We were lucky enough to have Zsigi at a Csipke camp several years ago. I'll never forget the passion, the energy, the enthusiasm that he brings to every Tanchaz and every after Tanchaz party. Just his character and his knowledge is fantastic. I'm very, very pleased he made time to accept my invitation to speak today. Zsigmond Vucic, Zsigi, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Öcsi. What a great introduction.
Yes. Well, we're out of time. No, I'm just kidding. I'm very happy you're here. And I know you're. I mentioned during the read-in that you are primarily reside in Gyimes Középlok. Tell me how you split your time, between these various cities that I mentioned or places that I mentioned: Gyimes, Szepsiszentgyörgy, Budapest, and Zurich.
Yeah. My work, let's say, is in Szepsiszentgyörgy, near to Szepsiszentgyörgy. It's around 120 kilometers from Gyimes középblokk. Yeah. I live actually in the valley of Boros-Pataka, and so mainly I'm in the past I went from Monday to Friday. I was there, and on the weekends I was home. Since this pandemic, it changed a little bit. So 2 days I'm in home office and 3 days I'm in the mill. Mm-hmm. Actually, this is a sawmill in Reg,
right?
Which is 10 kilometers from this city, Szepsiszentgyörgy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And let's say Switzerland and Hungary. This is mainly in my holidays. I visit my parents. My mother actually lives in Zurich, and Budapest. I have still a lot of friends there, mm-hmm. and when we have time, we go there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. You're the in terms of where you feel the most comfortable or the most at home, given that your life started in Switzerland and then you lived in Budapest and then now you're really just for those who don't know, Gyimes is the area in the Carpathian mountains, and it's kind of marks the end of Transylvania to the east. So you went from Western Europe all the way to the kind of the start in terms of the Hungarian culture, Hungarian folklore, right to Gyimes. Where do you feel most comfortable now? That you're in your 40s, and what's true home for you?
True home is now Gyimes, honestly said. It's also for me a little bit strange because it's really far away where I was born. So mainly this is the farthest east point of, let's say, the old Hungarian historical, border. Mm-hmm. And but I never thought that this will like this, because when in Switzerland I grew up, I felt that this will be not my place where I would want to stay. Yeah, so I wanted always to go to Budapest, but it seems that the roots were stronger, and you see also from my CV that I worked a lot. So mainly I lived more in Romania than in Hungary. So mm-hmm. I worked also in Nagyszeben for an Austrian company there. And most of the time I was here in Romania, and so it's also for me a little bit strange, but it seems that I found my place in Gyimes. Yeah, so I'm very happy about this. Yeah.
When's the first time you went to Gyimes?
2007, I think. So I didn't, when I was here in Romania to visit the camps. I never came till to this. Area of Transylvania, mainly because I was not really into this music. Because Gyimes is still now for me. It's I start now to understand, but it's a total different. It's a total different connection. You need a total different connection with this music and dances, and also with the people to understand this. And I felt more connected to the central part of Transylvanian music, or Transylvania, like Mezőség or Küküllömente or Marosszék. Mm-hmm. So this was much nearer to my, let's say, to my feelings and to my understanding of music. And here, this is something really not strange, but you have to get more deep, and you have to take your time to understand this music. And yeah.
So your wife is originally from Gyimes, right? Is that where she grew up?
Yes, she grew up. So mainly she's from Kászon. This is between Kézdivásárhely and Csíkszereda. Yeah. But her parents were relocated as veterinarians to Gyimes. Yeah. but she went here to kindergarten and also to school. So mainly she feels like a Django, like a Gyimes.
Right. So
yeah.
So in 2013, when you moved there, did you move there because of her? You guys were together at that time already?
Yes.
Okay.
This move was this was interesting because I lived in Budapest at this time, and also I worked in Hungary, in Budapest, and I looked for a company which I can work here in Romania and also to be with her, because she just finished then the veterinary studies, and her mother is also a veterinarian here in Gyimes, and this was clear that she has to come back here and to support the community with her knowledge. And let's say as a business manager, you are more flexible, let's say, to go somewhere in the world. And actually, I had luck because this company started the investment in Reg, and they took me. So this was a fast decision, and since then I'm here.
Right. So you mentioned, and I'm not going to let you get away with this. You said that, growing up in Switzerland, you knew that you didn't want to live in Switzerland. I guess maybe by the time you were maybe a teenager, you had decided that you were going to end up at least in Budapest, right?
Yeah, this came really late because let's start with with my father, because he founded the dance group in '83 with some friends, and they were very into this music. So they were really, at this time, they were organizing big concerts. They went always to Hungary. In '85, my father went to Transylvania to make some really great collections. And till I was 18, I was not interested in the whole movement. So there were Muzsikás in our place, Teka was in our place, but I was never interested in this whole thing. And only when I was 18, I decided now to visit the what means probat, the rehearsals. I think the trainings, the dance trainings. And since then, I was connected to this
material or folk world.
Yeah, material and this way of thinking and this way of living. Yeah, so till then I didn't thought that I will be or I didn't thought that it was not important to me that, let's say, that I'm Hungarian. Yeah, so this came. So in that identity, the Hungarian identity came with the dance with 18. Yeah?
Wow.
This was a very important step, and I think this is something which is some this kind of dance houses not in Hungary, outside of Hungary, like also in the US or in Canada or in Switzerland. This is something which helps to find people the identity. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was a very important step for me, that I realized that this is important for me, and I want to do this. I want to learn this. I want to go deeper in this. This was a really interesting.
So you're not the typical kid that grew up folk dancing from the age of 6, in the dance group. You had all these artists your dad was bringing on tour into Switzerland, Muzsikás, Teka, all the Öcsi or whoever else, bands of the 80s, and you're just like what, playing ping pong or doing some sports, or like you're not interested really in. You couldn't even like dance a legényes or a mezőségi?
No, nothing.
Wow.
Actually, I was on the first Teka Tabor, so he took me. So he invested a lot of time in me, my father. But I was not really following his path, which he put down for me at this time. So I was with '83. I was in the first Teka Tabor. Yeah, so I was the whole summer into this kind of movement, and in the early, yeah. So this was the first Teka Tabor in '83. I was there, I had a violin lesson from Halmos Attila, which was 18 at this time. My father has a video out. It's horrible. Yeah, so I was not really interested in the whole thing, so I just did. I was more interested in running around and between the tents and the field tree. But so the dances was not really, or I didn't, was not important for me. No.
Do you have siblings?
I have a sister, yes, and a half brother.
Were they also not into it, and did they switch it to starting to get into the folklore, or for them they never clicked?
Yeah, so not so. My sister, she didn't join the dance group like I did. Yeah, she likes it, but she's not into it so deeply. Let's say like this. It's not it takes not so much important part of her life like for me.
Mm-hmm. Was there a moment, so when you're 18, was there a moment that you remember looking back?
Yes, it was the New Year's party with Pende. Pende was the Swiss music group, by Swiss people and by German Hungarians, and they had a New Year's party in the mountains, and there I saw that a lot of young people, which I know, from the past. So I know these people already before. So we were friends, but they started already to dance, and me not. And I saw them how they can enjoy this music, and they can make party together and enjoy the whole time. And I was just sitting there and thought, wow, perhaps I should also join this group.
Right.
And, but it was the time was perfect because there were from the Swiss, from the Hungarian embassy, also some young girls which joined the dance group. Also from my parents' friends, the children reached this age, 18, and so there were a bunch of people, young people, which joined this figurage. And then I decided also to join, and then was unstoppable the whole.
How do you think your life would look now if you didn't have that, that moment at the winter camp with Pende when you were 18 years old? What would have been the future of Zsigi? Would you just been work in a corporate world in Bern or in Zurich, or maybe in Budapest, or what do you think?
Yeah, this is a good question, because I thought already on this, and I think I would be in Switzerland working for a company, and then going to Budapest just for 1 or 2 weeks per year, or not even, because there are also other nice cities. So I would have a total different life, probably.
Well, I'm so happy it worked out.
Yeah, me too.
yeah. Now, your parents are both Hungarian, but I got to ask you about the name Vucic. That's a very Slavic-sounding name. Where's that from?
So my father is actually coming from. So he emigrated from Yugoslavia, from the actual Yugoslavia, to Switzerland. And his grandfather was a Serb, and from there the name. So he grown up in a Hungarian village now it's Croatia, but his grandfather was a Serbian.
Right. So, and does he speak? Does your dad speak Croatian or Serbian?
Yes. So he finished that. Let's say the high school, the technicum, and after that there was a time around the 70s where it was very easy to get a job in Western Europe. He just wrote a letter, and next day he was accepted, and without any Zoom meeting or something, he went to Switzerland and started his job. And actually, where he started, also he finished with he went from there in the pension. So.
Gotcha.
He was lucky, yeah.
So and your parents met in Switzerland, correct?
Yes.
And then
my mother is from Kecskemét. She grew up in Kecskemét. But she has also some roots from in Transylvania. It's a little bit hard to find out because they don't have too much information about this, but it seems that they had roots from Hargita and also from Kalotaszeg around. Yeah.
So if you weren't doing folk dancing or folk music growing up until later in your teens, what were you doing? What was the young Zsigi up to at the age 12, 13, 14? Sports or something else or what?
Yeah, listening Metallica.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I still like it, but let's say, like young guys do, there was a PC. Each afternoon we went there to play some games. We went out. So nothing special. So I was not really focused on something. So I just lived my youth and the free time. We enjoyed the free time, like a lot of children. But I didn't have any special or focused sport or something which would it took more time, or I invested more time. So I didn't have this. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Let's talk about Gyimes. You've lived there now for around 8 years. What is it? So again, it's in the Carpathian mountain range. It's several villages. That's my understanding. That kind of when we talk about, hey, we're going to do the Gyimes at the Tanchaz, that's actually talking about various villages that make up the so-called Gyimes cycle or Gyimes Valley dancing. Tell me a little bit about what about Gyimes and like physically, logistically, geographically, how it's set up.
Yeah. So you have to imagine. So it's not far from here. There is a 1,000-year border from the Hungarian border. Yeah. So there is the Rákóczi Vár. So this was the most east point of the Hungarian border, and so when you come, Gyimes is around 500 miles from Budapest away. So perhaps this says something, because I don't think that Mirko or Csíkszereda says something. So you leave the city Csíkszereda and you go up in the mountains, and after you go on a pass. I think it's called pass now. You pass the mountains and you come down in a valley. And first you have three main villages. It's Gyimes Felsőlök, Gyimes Középlök, and Gyimes. Yeah? And this is a main there is a main road which is going to Komanes, the Romanian city. And from this main road you have a lot of small valleys. Yeah. Mainly the small rivers which are coming down from the hills, because this is a mountain area, hill area. So I live here around 1,000 meter. My house is on 1,000 meter, and there are a lot of small rivers. And on these rivers, the people build houses. Yeah, and they are mainly living from animal. So they are making cheese. And they have animals like cows, and also from the forestry they are living. Yeah. So here in this height, nothing is really growing, for beside potatoes probably. And so this three main village has a lot of small rivers, and on this river the people are living. Also on the main road, but the actual the beauty is you find in the small rivers. You can there are a lot of small valleys which I also was not, because there are too much. Yeah, So I don't know what to tell, perhaps.
No. So it sounds. I mean, and I've seen pictures. I've never haven't been yet, but we are going to go at some point. But it sounds stunningly beautiful.
They call it the Swiss, little Swiss.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. I mean, interestingly, you kind of grew up in the Alps, and the Carpathians are the Carpathian Mountains are the eastern Alps, so to speak, and so Switzerland and Gyimes are very similar. But in terms of like the people that live there, are there young city folk, educated like you and your wife, and you also have a mix of the older folks as well, right? Still.
Yeah, so mainly the people here are still living like, let's say, beginning of the century. A lot of people. Yes, okay, there are also, we see the changes, but so we have still the older people are still moving goods with horses and what is this carriage or so they are moving with horses.
Yeah.
So it's like the beginning of the century. Yeah. So the older people are living really from the forestry or from they're getting some funds from the state for having animals, and this is the basic income. Yeah. So then you have the other part, the young people. They are leaving to Western Europe to work on plantations, but let's say that the education, you have the old people which are working as farmers, and the young people which are leaving for Western Europe to get some money because or to earn some money because the here locally there are no big companies or possibilities to have a good paid job. Yeah.
So how far? You said Csíkszereda, right? That's where you kind of is that the nearest big city?
Is around 35 kilometers from here, so 20 miles.
Right. So that's where you make your big shopping excursions.
Exactly. So this is the next biggest city where you can, let's say, anything what you have to solve, you go there. So you need 40 minutes to go to Csíkszereda to have some infrastructure.
So you must be one of a kind there, right? I mean, I don't think there are a lot of expatriate, and I sometimes hate to use the term, but I will. So, people like you from the West that go to live there in Gyimes. And I'm not talking about folks like maybe, Sáraferi who are from Budapest, but I mean from like Western Europe. Like are you one of the only ones there?
Yes. Till now I'm the only one. So yeah, this is a lot of people are asking, so why I'm coming here from Switzerland, because they are going there to work. So it's they don't really understand this. So I had the luck that I found a good paid job in Romania, and so I can live here in Gyimes. It's clear if I wouldn't have this job, I could not be here, because people like me, which are, let's say, not speaking 100% Romanian or like this, then it would be hard to find here a job. And I'm not really the good farmer or the good guy in the forest. Mm-hmm. So for this you need some other skills which I don't have. But so I'm like here, like how to say, the black sheep. Yeah. But there is a word for people like me, so it's a jutment. Yeah, so I don't know how to translate this.
Well, jutment is like you come and go. So you're
yes, yeah. So it's so they don't have a problem with me. So we find the tone between us. But so it's not normal that somebody is coming from Western Europe to Gyimes. So there are already people which are coming to bigger cities. This is clear. But in villages like this, which are still living like in the 100 years ago, not really.
Yeah. So,
but this is exactly what I looked for. Yeah. So this is this is something which I could not express when I went to Hungary from Switzerland, but maybe I am looking probably for some roots, and here it's really the base, yeah. Mm-hmm. And this gives some power to me, or not power, but energy, which is which I cannot explain. This is something which is disappearing slowly. This life, because you don't find such infrastructure, such how to say this sort of surviving. This is disappearing slowly because everybody is going to Western Europe or goes in the cities.
Your wife grew up, nearby.
Yeah.
Does she, aside from being kind of, held in her heart to that place for work reasons, because she took over, as you mentioned, her mom's clinic, right, vet clinic, but does she ever talk about or interested in moving to the West? So kind of a reverse. No, she's not interested.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No, so she's very connected to Gyimes. So she grew up with the music. She was a child when she was sent to Szerkőli János, one of the last gypsy violin players here. Mm-hmm. And she learned from him. And she's very connected with the people. Also, when she's working, she has to go, let's say, with a 4x4 car up in the mountain to look for a cow, and the people are really happy that she's coming, and she takes her time for this. And so she's really connected to this world and to these people, and that's why we will do everything that we can stay here, because she's doing here. She can do here a great job. So she's doing more than I can do, let's say, with the company. So my work is not so important than hers, let's say like this. Yeah.
Right, I get it. Yeah, I always tell my wife, my job as a lawyer is much more important than her job as a Pilates instructor. I'm just kidding. All right, yeah, but Pilates saves lives, Zsigi. So the people there, they still speak this old style Hungarian, right? Like the.
I think you are now referring to the Moldvai Csango Hungarian, which is so these are the Gyimesi Csango here.
Yeah.
They are speaking, let's say, they have an accent, but they speak the normal Hungarian language. So I didn't have too much problems to understand them. Only some special words I have to learn here. But you are referring, I think, to the Moldvai Csango, which are living outside of the historical border of Hungary. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they have this really old Hungarian language when they are speaking, and this is disappearing. Yeah, so there are a lot of problems from the Hungary government too, that they are taught to conserve this language. Honestly said, I was not too much into this thematic because I was more interested in the folk music from the central Transylvania, so I didn't took too much time to go deep in this history. But here I get some information what's happening. Yeah.
But so because I know I have spoken with folks from Gyimes, and I think maybe even the young guys from Zerkula, including your wife, yeah. They've given me some examples of things that are very special and peculiar, some sayings or some words.
Yes, of course, there are a lot of words or expressions which are old style, or let's say from the past. This is clear, yeah.
What would be one example of a commonly used word that if someone said it to me I would not understand?
Yeah, this is a good question, because what is a good example here?
Like, how would you say, like, megyek át a hegyen or something, like I'm going to the other side of the mountain, or I know there's just ways they say it.
I'm just thinking about, now I will come back with this. I will think about what is a good example.
No problem. So now, to live there, you mentioned, I mean, I said in your bio that you speak some Romanian, not too much, right? But you can live and work in that part of Transylvania without really mastering the language?
Yeah, because let's say SvejciFarkas is is in Kovasna County, and this is more than 80%, probably 85%. There are Hungarians living. Yeah, so to do the job, I can use the Hungarian language. Then I can use my English, and also German, because the company for which I work is an Austrian one. So, and for the rest, when we have to go to the Romanian authorities, we have some other colleagues which can help. So this is not a problem. Also from the Romanian, I understand a lot because it's a Latin language. And from Switzerland, let's say the French is, you have to learn French there in Switzerland. So you get a lot of information already from this knowledge from the French education. So you know what they are telling, yeah.
Right.
So my problem is mostly the discussion part, so to answering or to have a conversation part. But let's say I can manage, yeah.
Right. Now people can grow up in Gyimes or maybe even in SvejciFarkas, and not to mention Csík, Szereda, and those other cities in that area. You can grow up there, go to school, get a job, go shopping, do your daily thing, and not even know how to speak Romanian. Is that right?
Yes. So let's say not in the full life, because mainly the authorities are Romanians, and you have to do some official thing. But we have a lot of people in the company on let's say on the blue collar section where they don't speak Romanian. So this is something which I didn't know, that the Romanians which are also working in our company, they didn't know that there are people like this, so they don't understand. So how can be that somebody in Romania is not speaking Romanian?
Yeah, that's right.
For me, it was not so big problem, because in Switzerland you have 4 languages. You have the French part, you have the Italian part, you have the German part, and you have the Retro-Roman part. Yeah, so for me it was clear that when I go to French part in Switzerland, I will not be able to discuss or to ask for something in German. Yeah, they will not answer you. So for me, this was a total easy thing. That okay, there are in a country you have different parts, and people are having different languages. But it seems that one part, the people are growing up in the Hungarian community without touching too much or learning the Romanian. This is also failure of, let's say, of the education, because you need to learn languages. Yeah, so just to stick to Hungarian or just to Romanian makes no sense if you have big groups of people which are having a different language. Yeah. So for me it was strange to see that this is a problem, or they don't understand, the Romanians don't understand that the Hungarians don't speak Romanian. Yeah.
Zsigi, that you mentioned the 4 languages in Switzerland, and the last one, did you say
Roman? Yes. So this is a dying out language in Romania. This is on the eastern part of Switzerland. This is an old language, mostly Latin influenced language, and it's an official Swiss language. It's mainly dying out slowly. they are trying to conserve it, but it's a really strange language. So this is it's like French and Italian combined somehow. Yeah.
This is not the Swiss Deutsch, right?
No, this is another thing. Yeah. Oh. So in Switzerland, when you are in school or you are writing, then you are writing in High German. This is mainly the official German language,
right?
Which is Goethe wrote in this language. Mm-hmm. But you have the dialect in Switzerland, which is from the middle a German version from the Middle Age. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So people from Germany don't understand when the Swiss are talking in Swiss dialect. So there is no chance to understand this.
Do you speak it?
Yes.
So you speak the regular High German, so to speak, right?
Yes, this is the official what you have to learn in the school, yeah. But on the streets you are talking the Swiss German dialect.
I see. But interesting, you don't name it or list it as a separate language you speak. Why not?
No, because it's not a written language. It's just between friends, between people on the road. But it's not a written. So it's not an official language. It's just a dialect. Yeah. So we have also dialects in Hungarian. So let's say in Area Keresztúr, Székely Keresztúr, they are talking with a lot of ö. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you don't write these down. So you don't write in this. You don't use this in the written language. Mm-hmm. So it's just between persons, for informal talking. But so there are some interesting stories because in the school we had some people from the US which came to Switzerland to learn German. And they were 1 year there, and they went home, and so it was not really useful for them to be in Switzerland and to be with us, because mainly we talked in Swiss German, and this is not really useful in the big world.
Right, that's funny. Yeah. What's the state or the condition of Hungarians in Transylvania right now? It may be an overbroad question, but we know that there's some government, laws and other activities that kind of target wrongfully Hungarians and the use of Hungarian language and the like. What you mentioned already one thing, which is unfortunate, that you have young people leaving, going to the West. But aside from that, for the folks that stay behind and stay there, what are some of their challenges right now, and how does it look? How does the future look for Hungarians in Transylvania?
Yeah, this is a big question, and probably I'm not the right one who can tell this, because I can anytime leave. Yeah, but what I see. So there are two movements. So I see there is the young people are leaving, but they are also coming back, and they bring money back, and they see what is good in the Western Europe, and they try to make it here. So this is one thing which is, let's say, a positive development, that people are going a little bit in the world, and then they come back home and they try to make it better than it was before. So this is one thing which I see, and this is a good part. The other part is we see villages which are dying. So you don't see children, you don't see any investments. You see that the village is falling apart. The houses are going, so they are not used. And but this is not only for Hungarians. So this is mainly also whole Romania or whole Eastern Europe has this problem, I think. But let's reflect to the Hungarians, and here I see some chances. Yeah, so what to be Hungarian in a country where you are not in a majority? I think so like this, the Hungarians will more survive than, let's say, in Hungary, or how to say? Because when you have to make a statement, what you are, you do much more for this.
Yeah.
And I cannot tell you exactly what I mean here, but
I know exactly what you mean.
It gives you much power.
Yeah.
So I think there is a chance. So there are big question marks. So how this development is, also the state is not helping. So the Romanian state is not really helping here to have a friendship or to have a peaceful living together. Yeah. So they are not working on this. So they are neutral or little bit pushing to try to assimilate the Hungarians, but any negative movement from the authorities is just let's say helping to have the Hungarians to be more Hungarian. So somehow it's if they would accept everything what the Hungarians want, let's say also this because there is a movement here in Romania or in Transylvania to have this I forgot now the word, to have these rights, more rights, and to have this own decision right, local rights. If they would let this, then the assimilation would be much faster. And this is also what we see in the folk music. So when the folk music was not allowed, so it was conserved very good. And since everybody can go or join or consume everything or to go everywhere, it's dying.
Well, when the struggle is there, when you're forced to protect your life, your heritage, your culture, then I agree. Then, and we talked a little bit about this with Fazakas Levi from Heveded, that you know that there's a not just a job, that not just you're playing, but it comes with pride, and there's a overall greater importance that what you're doing when you're playing or dancing, and I think that now it's been 100 years since Transylvania was annexed to Romania. We know that struggle continues. It's very sad to hear some villages are just dying, but I know that as cities get more, you see that here in the U.S. and in Canada. You see trailers boxed up and just sitting, and the cities are overrun. So you see that everywhere. Let's talk about music. Let's talk about your collections. I mentioned in your bio that you had traveled with Puma, Fekete Márton, the Bushai, Fundak, and others. How did that come about? Where did you go? And tell me some of your memories. And what did you guys actually do? Video, audio, and what happened with that material?
Yeah. So I don't know if the people which are listening know that. So 10 years, 20 years ago, there was still a very lot of places in Transylvania where you could collect original music and dances. Yeah, this is slowly dying out. Still, also today you can do this, but 20 years ago it was much more which you could reach. And so I started my dance career or music career in '93 and '96. So in the meantime, we went a lot to Hungary and to Budapest, and we met Puma Fekete Antal, which is one of the iconic musician, or let's say the grandfather of the dance house musician. And he was so this was a very good experience, because he saw that we are interested, we want to learn, we want to see, we want to feel, and he told us, okay guys, let's go to Transylvania, I will organize you a tour. And so four people from Switzerland, so my four friends from Figurás dance group. We decided to buy a car. Then we went to Budapest. Puma joined us, and then we went to Transylvania. And this was one of the greatest experiences what I had. So I was never thinking that this experience and this collection of music will be important in the future. Yeah? Mm-hmm. But I see now that what we saw in this time, 96, you don't care. So the young people now don't see this anymore. This sort of living folk music and dances. Yeah? And so we went to Palatka. This is in Mezőség. This was a great experience to see Kodoba, Béla, Kodoba, and the whole other musicians. Then we went to Vajdasentiván. We saw Horváth Elek in full energy. Then we went to Csavas. This was also the first time for Puma, actually. And this was also a day which I cannot explain now. This was go there and to meet these musicians, and this was living folk music, yeah, which is now you don't see now anymore a full band, a traditional band which is fully functional. Mm-hmm. And in '96 it was. Mm-hmm. And after that we went also to Szék and a lot of places. Also we were in Péterlaka. And all these collections, what we did, is now is now a treasure. Yeah. And at this time we didn't thought this. That we thought that this will be last all the time. But after how much years? 24 years. We can say that this was an experience which you cannot do anymore. Yeah. And this was a very, very, very important step for us to see this. And I think also in my thinking or decisions in the future were influenced by this, that I want to go to Hungary, I want to go to Transylvania, I want to feel this, I want to see this, because this is something which gives me something. Yeah? So I felt that this is important. And after this time we went also with Bushai Norbi to Palatka. He was very into this region, so mm-hmm. he learned all the dances from this region, and we went with him. We make a tour, and also with Hajdu Florian or with Funda Kristóf, we went to Észak-Mezőség to make some collections. And each meeting with these people, and Romanians, Hungarians, gypsies. This is incredible what we saw, and this is something which I don't know how to explain to my son. Yeah, let's say these feelings and these experiences, because I don't know how now young musicians or dancers can feel this dust and this how they feel this dust and this special. I don't know how to say it. It's something which you cannot explain. This is right. You were also, I think, sometimes in such places, and you know what I'm talking. But it's hard to describe this for external people. Yeah.
Well, yes. So what's happening now is most of these musicians are dying off, unfortunately.
Or are dead. Yeah.
Yeah, or are dead. So even in the last 20 years, there's been a lot of loss, a lot of death, even in the last year, of musicians, and in fact the Tanchaz movement is growing so old now. It's going to be, next year we mark the 50th year of its foundation, that even Tanchaz musicians are dying off, so revival musicians themselves, not just the original villagers. So we still have the Kodoba, Ginetti Jr., Kodoba Florin. We still have the 30 or 40-year-old generation of musicians carrying on the torch, but they're not as active, they're not as busy, they're not as invited around, even within their own villages, to play anymore. It is very difficult to explain Then I asked Arendás Péter when I interviewed him, the professor at the Liszt Academy of Music. I asked him, "What's the best way of learning this music?" And he said it's being there and sitting next to them and asking questions and understanding not the music necessarily, but the person playing the music. Well, that's done. We can't do that anymore for the most part, right?
Yes.
You really got attached, though, to the music of one particular village, which is Szaszcsavas. Why? What kind of blew your mind about them in starting in the mid-90s?
Yeah, this was an interesting story because we were in the Jászberény Django, or not Jászberény dance camp in Jászberény, and so this was a great camp with a lot of experiences. And one night the Szaszcsavas band was on the program, and I had my double bass there, and I think Maki came to me to ask to lend the double bass. Mm-hmm. And I asked my friends, so should I give this to this guy? So I don't know. And okay, we give the instrument, and when they started to play, it was like, what the hell? So they performed a show which I never saw before. Yeah, so but just playing great folk music, not something or something circus something, but they just played, and it was so real and it was so authentic that I and my friend said, "Wow, what is this? What is this? Who are these people?" Yeah, I have still the cassette which I make a recording with my Sony Walkman, and it sounds horrible, but we listened this after that the whole year in Switzerland. Mm-hmm. And we decided, okay, we have to go there. We have to meet these musicians. And '96 we actually went there with Puma, and since then I was connected to this village, because you go in this village and I think on each corner you had a musician, because what we saw that there were 5 people and they changed the instruments between them. Yeah, so the double bass player played at the end violin, and the other played the viola, and what the hell. And when you go in this village, there were not just 4 musicians, there were still living 6, 7, 8 musicians there. The old musicians which were not anymore taken to the camps. And I met. So first I went just to the gypsies. I went to Szaszcsavas. I went up to the hill where they are living. And the first 2 years I just sit there and listen to them and make some recordings. And then after we recognized that there are also Hungarians in this village, yeah. And after we saw this, that how they are connected, the Hungarians with the gypsies, how how the gypsies served the Szaszcsavas Hungarians, then we understood from where is coming this knowledge, this musician, serving this music, yeah, because this Szaszcsavas Hungarian, so these Hungarians in Szaszcsavas are very good singers, yeah, so they are very famous for the 5 voice or canon, I don't know how to say.
5-part harmony.
Yeah. They are very famous for this. They have founded their singing group or choir, how to say, mm-hmm. in 1874, I think, something like this. And that's because they were very good singers. They always looked for very good musicians, and so the gypsies moved there to serve them, because they, when you were a good musician, you went there and you were asked to go there. Yeah? And so this interconnection between the Hungarians and the gypsies, this is the secret why that Szaszcsavas music is so famous, because there was a group of people, the Hungarians, which asked a very good quality of music, and on the other side there were the gypsies which know how to serve this.
That is fascinating. That never clicked in my mind that it was a pure kind of having studied economics, a pure supply-demand equation. They demanded high music because they were very skilled musically, the Hungarian villagers, and the gypsies figured out how to exactly deliver on that demand. Interesting. Wow.
So also the musicians were open-minded. So when we went there, they taught us. They were also interested in us, and they never give us the feeling, okay, you are just a guy from Switzerland which can play two tones on this bass, because I was never a very good musician. I just played because there was a need for a double bass player in Switzerland.
Right.
And they just really took us, and they taught us. They took in their families. And that's why also we decided to invite them to Switzerland, this this New Year's parties, because we wanted to show to this dance house movement what for musicians they are still living.
Yeah. The later on, so going back about 5 years now, you kind of spearheaded a collaboration that I mentioned in your bio between Usturu and Heveder. The CD is called Csavas Iram, which is a fantastic CD. Played clips of it before on the show, and it also has the USB, and it's got some nice other aspects to the packaging. Tell me how that came about. How difficult was that to get together the groups? And this, for me, is kind of the culmination of the two best revival bands that feature that have Szaszcsavas music in their repertoire. It's a really, really special piece of work. Tell me about that CD, Csavas Iram.
Yeah, so first we have to make a step back. So I met Usturu in '96 in the Sófalvi Tábor camp in Transylvania. And firstly I met them in Switzerland actually, because they were there on tour with Háromszék, because they were the Háromszék musicians on the Háromszék dance group.
Yeah.
And they were very sympathetic to me. And also we saw that they are playing like gods, so they played all the different areas very, very, very authentic, and they were very open-minded to us also, and they invited us to come there because Szász Jóska and Szász Lőrinc, they still lived in Koront.
Yes.
And so we went there, and this was the start of a beautiful friendship. And later on, 20 years later, I think, 10 years later, I met the Heveder band, which was then a young group, and I felt the same energy on these guys,
Mm-hmm.
And so we started also here a very good friendship with all the musicians. And interestingly, both bands are from the thinking, they have the same thinking, and that's why it was clear when we want to do Csavas, which they are, I think these two groups are playing the Szaszcsavas now the most authentic way. It was clear that I want to have these two bands together, and there was never a question or why or it was clear that these two bands has to be on this recording. And with Fazekas Levente we discussed which songs we should put or how we should do this, and when we put them together, so we make these recordings in 2 days in the basement of Molnár Szabolcs. So it was a fantastic time because they just you can exchange them between each other. So these two bands are exchangeable.
Mm-hmm.
And the musicians in the band, and we we just said, okay, we want to do this recording, and they just said, okay, for this he is the best. So let's take Jozo with Yuri and with Levente. So this was a great time, and we tried to put on these recordings what we learned, or what we saw in Szaszcsavas, or what we learned from the musicians and also from the Hungarians, because this was important for us, not just to make a CD where we put some recordings next to each other, because this history has a history with Szaszcsavas more than 20 years, yeah, and also Fazekas Levent and the Heveder band, they know them a long time ago.
Yeah,
and this was important to put on the CD the feelings, what we learned from them, to put this on a CD. I don't know if for me it was somehow a biography or something like this. It was also my life, yeah. Which these are the stories which I had with Szaszcsavas band. This is somehow also on this CD, and I think also the other musicians think like this, that each recording has some memories which are important for them, and why they are playing so good this music. Because if you don't have some common stories with the musicians, you don't play this music well. So you have to have a connection with them, and we try to put this on this CD. I don't know if so for me it's a good CD, but it's for me. So perhaps you can tell what is coming back from this, or you feel this, what we try to put on this CD.
That personal passion that everyone on that CD and you as a producer of it have with the music from that village of Szaszcsavas clearly comes through for me. It's very special. You know, interestingly, you mentioned there seemed to be a musician on every street corner. I think when we look at every village in Transylvania, I think Szaszcsavas might be the one that has the best future in terms of still producing a couple of generations of musicians. Still, I think it's got it in him. What do you think? I mean, they do have a bit of a dynasty going there. You know, do you think there's a future still there, so long as they are kept active and busy and playing?
Yeah, this is a hard question, because now the authentic musicians are just living from the dance house movement, because there is no need in the rural area for this such a service. Yeah, so mainly also when you look like Cordova Florin, he is mainly living from the dance house movement. When in Budapest they invite him for some dance houses, or in Transylvania in the cities. So I'm not so optimistic in this regard, because what we see in Szaszcsavas, that the old musicians now, only Csányi Sándor, one of the violinists, is able to play still, let's say, with his full power. Mm-hmm. The Dumnezeu and also Levente we lost 3 years ago. Yeah. And Dumnezeu he had his birthday before yesterday, his 70th, and he had also a stroke, so he's not able to play anymore with full energy. Yeah, so it's gone, and we have only Csányi Sándor, which knows how in the past this music sound was asked, and how it's sounded. Yeah. There are some young guys, and young Tim Kuca, or the children of the musicians, but this will be never the same, because they didn't have the chance to play this in a functional way. So to play this music where it's needed and how it's needed. So they just play it for the dance house movement, and I have to criticize this, because the dance house movement is somehow also destroying this sort of music, because they are asking just, let's say, the gypsy dance and faster, but there is so much more which you could ask from this area, and from these musicians, but nobody's asking this, and this is dying. So we are destroying it by ourselves a little bit, because we are just picking up what we like and what we know. But okay, this is how it works, it seems, But Szaszcsavas, in this way, how you saw the old group, let's say, so the three violinists, Dumnezeu Levente and Sándor, this you will never see anymore, and this is gone.
Yeah, that's for sure. But hold on, Zsigi. When we were praising the wonderful Hungarians of Szaszcsavas with their high quality demand and approach to music, so they have also stopped inviting the band for christenings and weddings and other activities.
Yes. So it's also dying there. So there are still the old how to say it, old guys, the old Hungarians, which would like to use this music, but the young musicians are not able to serve them anymore. So they are not able to serve this kind of, because you have so mainly only Dumnezeu was able to serve the Hungarians in Szaszcsavas. Sándor, he played mostly music for around the Szaszcsavas village. Also next to Szaszcsavas, above next to it, it's Haranglap, which died out actually slowly. But there were, I saw 10 years ago, there were a lot of dances and music which Sándor served. But this is also gone. So mainly the young people they don't know how to serve this, so they are also not asked to go there. And the young Hungarians are asking not anymore this folk music for. So it's not traditional. They are not looking for these traditional services.
Just to tie the knot on your collections, before we pivot a little, a lot of these recordings that you made ended up on your YouTube channel, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's SvejciFarkas, the Swiss wolf, I guess, right?
Yeah, because Vucic means in Serbian small wolf, a little wolf.
Oh, Vucic means little wolf. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So that's why SvejciFarkas. So, you've got over 4,000 followers, and I know you don't post too much, and I think that's the secret to the channel. I think it's very selective, very, very good music, and I know what a pain it is to kind of maintain and put stuff up and upload things. How did you get 4,000 subscribers? That's a lot for this folk music world.
Yeah, honestly, I was not aware this is a lot, so mainly I did this 2000. I started this 2007 because I wanted to share with my friends some recordings from the summer, and then I recognized that I have some material to share already, and I found also my father, which did some great recordings in '85, and I took them and I thought, okay, this has to be published, because this is something how we learn this music and how we get into it. When I went to Budapest, Puma or any musicians, he gave me the old recordings, audio tapes. You have to listen to this, you have to see this. This is how it works, so we have to share it. It's also, so it was not really professional done, or also my descriptions are not always perfect or very, very scientific. It's mainly to share feelings, to share important recordings in my view, important recordings, because this anybody decides by himself. And so I just started, and I slowly just recognized that I have some how to say, people which are watching this, because I didn't have any back thinking on this, that I want to make this now very special or very
you've made it a bit of a kind of viral, in the way, in a very good way. not the pandemic virus, but the
So I just recognized then later that some guys came to me and said, okay, this is great stuff, and thank you. And the problem is, which I also mentioned sometimes to my friends, or also to people which are working in the, let's say, in the scientific like R&Dash or other teachers which are working in this scientific area, how to say this, from the state. So it's really hard to get this old recording somehow centralized and in a good way. So there are people sharing the old collections from '69, but still we don't have a central point. And now the technology is given. So I don't think it should be too much. Should be not a big problem to share these important recordings, because I think I understand also the other part, that you have to make it scientific, you have to describe it, and you have to analyze it. But on the other hand, the Tanchaz movement started because we shared a lot of recordings. Everybody listened to. I went to Hungary with the empty audio tapes and collected so much as I can. And I was not. Okay, I didn't know a lot of times who is playing or what it is, but I think the sharing of this cultural heritage is important, and not always on a scientific way, because there are a lot of people who are not interested which area is this, or why he's playing like this, and there are two views. So I'm the, let's say, the consumer view. I try to share what I have, and because this I also learned from my father, that we have to share. So this is the most important part.
What's interesting, Zsigi, is that there's another aspect in my view when I look at the videos that you've posted, is it's really geared towards just a high quality music. And with all due respect, you're not sharing the bagpipe playing from Dunantul, it's specialized, really mostly showing the string music that is very popular at the Tanchazes, from Szaszcsavas and Kolotaszeg, Mezőség, and the like. So that's really the focus of the channel. I mean, you put up the 1 hour or so live recording of the Szaszcsavas band, actually quite recently. It's unbelievable. I just listened to that again, and of course I have the audio tape of that too from a long time ago. But to see it live, see how they flowed and they passed the baton from one violinist to the other, and the laughing and the humor and the inside jokes, and it's really up close. And anyway, really fabulous job, and I keep it up with that channel, because there's a lot still to share that I know you have.
Yeah, thank you. We will try to keep up this.
Yeah, for sure. Let me pivot a little. What's going on right now in terms of the Hungarian folk dance movement in Switzerland? I know you don't live there anymore, but you go visit. You have still friends there, obviously. What's cooking over there?
Yeah, actually, we have the time when so my generation became, let's say, older. Yeah, we passed the 40s. So everybody is busy, and perhaps not anymore into going to each Friday to make some trainings, and then on the weekend to go to make a performance. And but slowly the children of of my friends are growing up, and I think that it will come a new, new hype or a new wave, because after I left, I think everybody finished their studies and started to work, and then it went down a little bit, the activity of the group, and also in general in Switzerland, because when my father started, they had, I think, I don't know if I'm right, but Geneva had a dance group, Zurich had a dance group also. I think there were 4 to 5 dance groups in Switzerland in the 90s. This is now, I think, not anymore like this. There are some smaller groups, let's say, people which are coming together and making some prova,
practice, rehearsal.
Practice. And so it's a little bit. So this big movement is gone, but I think it's changed now. So it's not anymore important the performance to make some performances on weekends. So it's mainly community. Yeah. So I think this is what is, I think, important. I wanted to tell what I think you also know, that these dance groups were never important that we learn now very special dances or very good. Yeah. So we were not performance dancers or professional dancers or musicians, but the community aspect. This was what is important till now, and was important, that to get this. Okay, I'm a Hungarian. I have a culture. I can practice this knowledge. I think this is. I have a community, and look, I can go everywhere in the world. I went to US, to Chipke, and I have found friends. I never met them before, and we had the same language. We know we had the same interest. We had the same interest. So it's like it's a bad word, but it's like somehow a sect, or what is this?
Cult.
A cult, yeah. In a positive way, yeah, because this is still not too much people in the world are doing this or are knowing this, but this gives really a network, which is very important. This is the important aspect. So also this. So in Switzerland or in Germany, perhaps we don't have so big groups anymore or so much, but there are still small groups, and this is important that we keep this up and this is done, because I think this is an important part which gave us this Hungarian culture. And we don't have to perform like in Budapest, where you have not thousands, but you have several dance groups, and you can decide, okay, I want to be like a professional. I have to perform each Friday on 100%. This is a total different aspect of this communities in outside of Hungary. Yeah.
In Bern and in Geneva, Zurich, etc., and in Germany, Munich, Frankfurt, etc. Are there still Hungarian clubs, Hungarian churches that all these institutions still?
So I lost a little bit the contact, but yes. So what I see, there are. What I, from the feeling, it's the intensity went a little bit down, but I think this was. There are still, I think, but let's see the young guys. We have to look now, because there is a generation change, and we have to see what they are doing, because my generation, they are still active communities, and they are meeting, and they meet, and they are looking for this activity. But what I don't know, and I'm interested to see what will do the children's. Yeah, will they keep up, or they say, okay, this is something old-fashioned things, and we are going. I don't know. We do something else. This I don't know. So my generation is clearly keeping up this, but I don't know what is the next step.
What's interesting to me is that is it's almost like we talk about the struggle that Hungarians in Transylvania have, and they, having the struggle kind of makes them stronger. Here, the proximity and the closeness of Switzerland and Germany to Hungary, meaning if you want to go to a Tanchaz, you can drive 8, 10, 12 hours and you can be at the Fonó, in Budapest, versus like here, to go to a Tanchaz from Montreal to Toronto, you drive six hours if there's no weather issues. Then then you get to go to a Tanchaz in Toronto only, right? So I think the proximity issues actually, in a way, harm the robustness of any truly organized large-scale activity that you might be able to do in Western Europe, because you're just so close to Hungary or Transylvania. You can just hop in a car or a train or a bus or a quick flight and be there, versus here. For us, it's a struggle because everything is so damn far, and Budapest is far. It's a whole different world. So I just kind of thought about that as you're talking, how there's stuff going on, but it's on a smaller scale than, let's say, what we have here in North America or South America, right?
Yeah, but it's you have to think. I think it's more valuable what you have than. So you are. I think when you are deciding to drive 6 hours to go to a dance house, then this shows more than, let's say, the people which are deciding in Budapest to go in dance house, which they have 10 on the same evening and they don't know where to go, and they are not enjoying it. So what I see, but this is only my personal view, so what we had in Switzerland, or also you in the US or in Canada, it was more valuable. So it had more value than what is happening now, like in Budapest. So, and has a total different function. In Budapest, it's only to have fun. Not only. So I know that people are not only going to have fun, so they are also valuing the Hungarian culture. But for us in Switzerland, when we also decided to go to Munich for a dance house, we drove also 5 hours from Switzerland. Mm-hmm. And I think this is something which is important, that we took the time. It was important for us. And this is the same what you have, and perhaps this is more valuable, because when you really meet these people, you have more greater quality, time quality with the people than you just joining a dance house in Budapest. So yeah. So there are two different things. I think it's harder to have these communities in abroad, or also what you have, but perhaps it's better to have this one time per month or all 2 months than each day, and you are just going there to drink a beer, and you don't get any value from this. Yeah.
We one of the most consistent comments that I've heard from people who come to from Hungary and from Transylvania here to us, we ask, what's the difference? How do you feel? What do you see here when you're here looking at a Tanchaz? And the comment is usually, everybody's up and dancing, or everyone's up and playing an instrument, and there's not a lot of people just sitting on the side and watching and drinking and hanging out, because this is the opportunities to dance and to play are so few and far between here that we really take advantage of it. So that's a nice comment, and I think it echoes kind of what you're saying. By the way, the Nango band that you helped form, is that still in existence?
Yes, of course. So we had my friends which didn't left Switzerland. They are still playing the instruments, so, and not even bad. So, but they are also at their families, so they are not anymore so active. But they are still. I think there is also an active homepage from the Nango Zenekar.
Yeah, there is.
And with these guys we started it, and it was a great journey with them, and they kept it up. So not everything is dead, but it's just transformed. And I think let's see. I think that the young people will put this on a new level.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Let's as our kind of a last topic, I wanted to talk to you about your job. What on earth do you actually do right now for the timber company?
Yeah, let's say my this is this is a good question, because mainly I have a famous job description. This is project manager. So my mother asked me always what you are doing, and then I'm telling her, look, I'm the guy who is doing everything. So mainly it was a greenfield investment 2013. So there was a 70-hectare field, and we built there a sawmill which can cut, let's say, 1 million cubic timber logs, and next to it we built a cogeneration plant. And so this I manage with my colleagues this construction and also the startup. Now I'm, let's say, working on group level reporting things. So mainly it's not interesting. So I never talk about too much about my job, because I like it, but this is not really my life. So I'm doing this for feeding my family and surviving this world. What is important is my family and also this Hungarian culture. This is what I'm talking about. What I'm doing in the job, this is, let's say, how to say this? Because a lot of people are living for the job. I'm not.
Right. Right. But despite that, you have kind of worked your way up the corporate food chain, so to speak, and your employer is Austrian, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's an Austrian company.
I benefit from, let's say, I have a strong benefit from my past, let's say, the Swiss education, yeah, and also I worked before for an Austrian company in Romania, and what is important, and I think what I hear I'm valuable is the which is not really written down in the job description, but this is the cultural management, because there are different ways to view things. You have an Austrian view of how to do things, and you have a Romanian local understanding, and I'm looking always to serve both sides, to help both sides, yeah, because there is a request, and mainly perhaps the request is not really fitting to the thinking or to the actual status of the company in this area, let's say in Romania, and this is, I think, what I'm doing here this is what I feel important. Yeah, this cultural management, which is not really how to say big task in the job description, but
right.
Without this, it would be really hard to survive, because and a lot of problems would appear. But like this, when you can manage this and to serve both sides, then it's okay.
That is a secret to success, I presume, in a lot of these international environments, business environments, where you're kind of the conduit between local and corporate, right? And but when you mention when you're kind of a translator, a cultural translator, so to speak, the people that work in the mill, most of them, or your reports, let's say, you can speak Hungarian with them?
Yes, so I have Romanian and Hungarian colleagues, and like this we manage somehow to, and also from Austria we have some expats there, and like this it's a really a mix of cultures which we have on site, which I like very much, because this is what it keeps the work really interesting, because it's so much different thinking and different culture which comes here when you do a job, and to put this on point, this is really an interesting work.
If any one of my listeners is interested in living the Zsigi dream, you are and you've talked to me about it, I know, before, and Molnar Sobi as well, Gyimes Sounds like a beautiful place to live. I presume the property prices are pretty reasonable, and there are available places to live there.
Yes, so I think for the Western, the prices are really low in the side of from let's say prices in Toronto. I would assume that these prices are really low here.
Yeah.
So if somebody feels to come here and to there are chances to get some property and to enjoy this energy which is coming from this area.
It sounds like, for me, the pandemic has brought about the possibility for people that are going to be telecommuting and working through Zoom at this point. It sounds like your internet works fine in Gyimes, even though people might be outside on riding horses down the highway, but horse and carriage. But it sounds like we might be seeing certain people moving into those kind of more remote areas to enjoy the space and get better bang for their buck if they don't have to be reporting to work daily.
Yeah, I think also this will be I think office big office surfaces will lose a little bit of importance. So let's say also when you see what happens in let's say in the Bay Area in San Francisco, so these prices and this living costs, and when you find out that you can work through the digitally and online from home office, so this will for sure impact the future working style of people. And I have also here some friends which are from the circular band with the Etelka, they just finished also the studies, and everybody's thinking to come home and to work from home, and already some guys do it. So this will be a future thing, and I think this will also help to not to let die these small villages. So not each village will have this chance, but I think there will be also a renewing of population like this, or perhaps some guys can decide to go home, to come home. It's clear. So you have it's this work is mainly when you have a higher education, it's possible, because when you are working with two hands, then it's not possible. But I think this will happen. Some guys will go in rural areas to live and to work. And actually, the internet is much better than in Switzerland, because in Switzerland they were building up the infrastructure with some cables, which these copper cables. And my father has a slower internet than I have here, fiber. So I'm living here. My neighbor next to me has 4 cows and 2 horses, and I have fiber here. So yeah.
I'll tell you where the internet sucks, Zsigi, in Toronto. All right. Yeah. One last question. I can't believe how the time has flown by, but I would like to ask you one last question. What is one thing that you'd love to do, but you have not done yet? Bucket list.
This is a good question. So mainly, you are asking which I could do, but I didn't do.
One thing.
I have a dream. Because mainly, let's say, I have one dream is to be a very good musician. Because this is, I think, now I'm on the other side, so I know when somebody is a good musician and I support him or something like this. So mainly, I would like to play on this way, like I'm asking the other musician to play. So I would be happy to fulfill my needs. Let's say what I want to hear. So this is one of the dreams. The other bucket list, so let's say what can be real done. I'm really happy what I have now, but I think what comes in the next year, when my son will grow, that to have to go with him in these areas where I was, and to show him still the final spots of living culture. This is what I want to do with him. Yeah, to take my 4x4 roof tent and to go with him to make this tour. This is, I think, what I want to do.
Amazing. That's an amazing place to stop. You know, Zsigi, you're fascinating the character, growing up in Switzerland and ending up back to the beginning of the roots, back to Gyimes, you know, having a dual existence of a folk music, folk dance collector, passionate about that, and also successful in the business world. I really appreciate your time and your energy that you've expended, not just today with me, but in general over the years. And I you know, wish you the best of luck and your young family. And thanks for joining me today.
Thank you too for your that you asked me for this interview, because it was interesting to discuss this.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Zsigi. And on behalf of Zsigmond, Vucic, Zsigi, and myself, Kalman Magyar Öcsi, thank you for listening today, and see you next time.